I played Crisol, Theater of Idols, and I went into it thinking it was going to be one of those horror games I try for a few hours and then forget about. But it actually surprised me in a lot of weird ways. Like the moment the game started, I remember just walking around the island and thinking, okay, this place looks really good, but also something feels off. The environment design is honestly crazy detailed. The churches, the villages, the statues everywhere. It looks beautiful, but also kinda uncomfortable at the same time. And I liked that because it made exploring fun, but at the same time, it made me slow down way more than I normally do in horror games. Which was good until it wasn't, because slowing down just gave enemies more chances to scare me. And speaking of enemies, the statue creatures in this game are actually creepy in a way I didn't expect. It's not even that they look super scary, it's how they move. They move in this stiff, unnatural way that just feels wrong. There were multiple times where I heard them moving before I saw them, and that sound design genuinely stressed me out. But at the same time, after fighting them for a while, I started noticing that some of them behave pretty similarly. So the fear slowly turned into, okay, I know how to deal with you, which kind of lowered the tension later on. The biggest thing though, and honestly the thing that completely changes how this game feels, is the blood ammo system. I knew about it before playing, but experiencing it is a totally different story. The first time I reloaded and saw my health drop, I thought I got hit by something. Then I realized, no, I just hurt myself to shoot. And after that, every fight became this mental argument with myself. Like, do I actually need to fight this enemy, or am I just being stubborn? There were moments where I won fights and still felt like I messed up because I used too much blood. And I kinda loved that because it made survival feel real. But I'm not gonna pretend it didn't get frustrating sometimes. There were sections where I was already low on health, ran into enemies, and just felt stuck because fighting could kill me and running could also kill me. It creates tension, but sometimes it also feels like the game is bullying you a little. Another thing that stood out to me while playing was the exploration. I actually enjoyed walking around and finding notes and those weird vision sequences that show parts of the story. It made the island feel mysterious, and I liked slowly figuring out what happened there. But sometimes the game doesn't explain things clearly enough. So there were moments where I wasn't confused in a fun, mysterious way. I was confused in a, wait, what am I supposed to be doing? There's also this stalker enemy that shows up randomly, and the first time it happened, I was genuinely panicking. It was one of those moments where I felt like the game was watching me. But later in the game, I'm not gonna lie, it started feeling slightly annoying when it interrupted exploration. It's still scary, just occasionally frustrating. One thing I kept noticing while playing was how strong the atmosphere is. The game doesn't rely on constant jump scares. It's more about making you feel uncomfortable for long periods of time, which I personally prefer. But sometimes the main character talks during gameplay, and weirdly that broke the tension for me a little. Not all the time, just enough where I caught myself thinking the game would feel scarier if it stayed quiet more often. Visually though, I really can't complain much. The world design is easily one of the strongest parts of the game. I kept stopping to look around, which I normally never do in horror games because I'm usually too busy running away from things. Combat overall felt solid, but not amazing. The blood mechanic carries it hard. Without that, I think the combat would feel pretty basic. With it, every fight feels risky and stressful, which works for survival horror. But it doesn't completely hide the fact that enemy variety could have been better. Performance-wise, I had a few moments where the game felt a little rough, but nothing that made me stop playing. It just felt like one of those games where you can tell the developers had big ideas, but maybe not unlimited resources. By the time I finished the game, I realized the thing Crisol does best is making you feel fragile the entire time. I never reached a point where I felt completely comfortable. And I think that's exactly what the game wants. It constantly makes you think about survival instead of just fighting everything. It's definitely not a perfect game, and there were moments where it annoyed me, confused me, or repeated itself a bit. But at the same time, it's one of those horror games that feels unique enough that I kept thinking about it even after I stopped playing.